The agenda tonight. We have Mr. Buddy Faison from the reassessment office, and we appreciate him coming, as well as Jessica from the library. These are just basically two reports to council, and appreciate y'all's time in briefing us. So with no further ado, and Randy, unless you want to talk, we'll start with Mr. Faison.
Okay. Well, first off, I want to thank each of you and the city manager for allowing me to come here tonight to give a few minutes of highlight exactly of how my office does the assessment. Real estate taxes bring in approximately 60% of the city's general funds revenue annually, and it is a major budget item for most citizens. And I'm asked by citizens quite often how we do what we do. When they come in, during the hearings and so forth. So I think this is a very timely time to do this. Real estate's assessments are the responsibility of each and every locality in the state. Poquoson, for the most part, the regulations that I operate under are state laws. In Poquoson, we do our reassessments every 2 years or biennially, and we do it on a fiscal year calendar. Reassessments begin almost immediately with the close of the previous reassessment. The first year of that process, for the most part, I start off by, there's a little bit of catch up after the reassessment's over with when you do construction and so forth, and I start immediately trying to get that caught back up. I'm also, at that point, I start paying visits to people who came in during the hearings and stuff like that, look at their houses and their concerns and so forth, maybe a little bit closer. I try to also pick neighborhoods that I haven't been out maybe in a right good while and visit those. I start accumulating data for the next reassessment, sales and transfers. I monitor, listings and stuff pretty regularly. And then when they ultimately sell, I try to compare those sales back to my reassessment that I had on the property. I also try to look at the reason why a particular property sold for the amount that it sold for. Sometimes there could be a property that sold for maybe $10,000, $15,000 more than what my reassessment, and because I have access to some sales information and so forth, I'm able to, a lot of times, to find out maybe there was like a kitchen remodel or something other that was involved on the inside of the house that I'm not aware of because I can't go in houses. I have to pretty much do all of my research from the outside of the houses or following permits. Unfortunately, nowadays, there's a lot of things you can do, like remodeling your kitchen and bathrooms and so forth, that don't require permits. So it can be challenging sometimes. So MLS information is very helpful to me in trying to make reason out of some of these sales. Sometimes there's like a friend selling a property to a friend or something other, and it's not an arm's length transaction. There can be various different reasons. Sometimes I just don't get it right, and I don't claim to be perfect, and when I don't, then I try to correct my mistake and make it right from there forward. So the first year is doing a lot of that. A lot of it is catching up on doing sketches and stuff like that, updating my sketch file on the houses and stuff. Some GIS projects that maybe I let slide during the assessment, the heat of the assessment process, because our office maintains the GIS information and works with the GIS vendor on the GIS website and all the maps and so forth. Then, like September of this past year is when I really get started into actually valuing putting values to houses and so forth. And I try to wait as long as I can to start that process, because every reassessment has a strike date. Like this coming assessment, the strike date is July 1st of 2017. So in other words, what I'm charged with doing is reassessing the value of every property in the city as of what I think it's going to be worth on July 1st this year coming. So the longer I can kind of put that off and accumulate information, the more accurate I'm going to be on that. But you can't wait till the last minute, so you start on some of them, and then sometimes the ones that you started on at first, you have to kind of go back at the end and update or review that and all that. Sometimes the market changes on you completely, like at the very end of a reassessment, because something happens in the economy and so forth. So at any rate, so I start putting values on in September. That process pretty much goes on through until about February. During that time, I'm also getting with our printer and stuff like that, and updating our forms that we're going to be mailing out, and the reassessment notices and all. I do that. And then mid-April, I mail the notices out. We hold assessor hearings where you can come in middle of May and discuss your reassessment with me. Perhaps there's just something maybe about your property I didn't know about, or you want to make me aware of it, or there in Virginia, there's 3 avenues of appealing your assessment. The first one being, of course, challenging the assessment with me during those assessor hearings. And then the second avenue of the appeal process would be appealing to the Board of Equalization. And then the third would be appealing directly to the Circuit Court in York County. Now, the Board of Equalization is a group of citizens and residents of the city. They are appointed by, or not appointed, but they're recommended by council, which y'all are charged, I think, doing later on tonight. You make the recommendations to the Circuit Court in York County, and then the judge, sometime hopefully within the next month, is going to appoint those people. Usually they pretty much go along with what y'all recommend, because they don't know the citizens in the locality, but occasionally they can go pick their own people. At any rate, they are a link. They are an arm of the court. They have no. They take nothing from the city or from my office. All of their judgments are as an arm of the court. They usually hold their hearings, or scheduled to hold their hearings this year in the middle of July. They will go on for hopefully just a couple of weeks is all we got planned. We will make more time if we have to. And then they discharge all of their findings and so forth by the middle of August. And at that point, we update all of our records in our database and so forth. At that point, we balance with the Commissioner of Revenue's files to make sure that we all balance. And then at that point, we print the land book, as we have to do that by state law before September 1st. Most of this process that I'm explaining to you, I'm just highlighting it. There's a lot involved with it, a lot of legal time frames, dates have to be met between the different steps and so forth by state law. and all that, and notices posted and all that stuff. But that's the basic process, and then after, of course, September 1st, after I complete this reassessment, I will be immediately, at that point, starting the whole process all over again. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what our office does, and if y'all have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer any.
Randy, if you got something you want to
Just a couple points. One, Mr. Faison outlined the appeal process that citizens have, but just one additional sentence on that. A citizen can jump into that process at any time.
That's correct.
It's not like some other legal processes where failure to exhaust one thing may preclude you from another. A citizen may wait and go straight to the circuit court process, or not have an assessor hearing and decide to go straight to the Board of Equalization, or really any combination. The other is just a note, as we move forward on the budget, we have to forecast, we work closely with Mr. Faison to forecast what we think the assessment will be, because the assessment times collection rate times the tax rate is our most
Absolutely.
major revenue source.
Right.
And so that is something that is, it makes that every other year budget a little bit more complicated, and I would commend whoever it was that wrote the charter section so that we do them on a fiscal year basis. Every other locality I've ever been in is done on a calendar year basis, so you have to project forward more than a year in advance how you think something's going to go.
Right.
In a rapidly changing market, and this way is way
It does
better.
allow us to stay a little bit closer on top of the market. In fact, our office has consistently been one of the highest, keeping up with the ratio of 100% in the state since, well, even before I came to the city. So, and partly because of what you just said, that helps a lot.
Okay. So at a high level, citizens tonight should take away a couple things. One, we're entering into a budget year that is a reassessment year.
That's correct.
So the value of your house is being reevaluated, and you should pay attention to that, right? And there are avenues open to you, including the Board of Equalization, if they can't negotiate it with you.
Right.
Which is the best starting point is to come
Absolutely.
straight in and handle and say, hey, I think you're wrong about this, or, you're wrong about that, and get the background. The second thing that people should understand as you walk away from this thing is that by state law, you are to project and try to get true and reasonable value at 100% of value.
That's correct.
Not to aim intentionally low or intentionally high.
Absolutely.
But it's a tough target that you are by state law asked to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that you constantly grade yourself on, are you achieving that? In other words, there's some comparison stuff for us to evaluate the lows and highs of, if we're greater than 10%, then we've got a question mark, and I'm sure that you do.
Right.
On that process, and then how you do that. So.
Also, annually, the State Department of Taxation makes me send in a ratio study to compare my assessments against what properties are actually selling for to determine how close
To monitor.
we
the
are,
process.
yes, to monitor that.
Okay.
So the state is monitoring what I'm doing too.
So Buddy Green.
Buddy, one of the things in the past that citizens have not understood, and tell me if the law is still the same.
Okay.
Suppose someone disagrees with your assessment,
Yes,
they go before the Board of Equalization, the assessment is reduced.
yes.
The following year, it automatically goes back to what you had set it at originally, is that correct?
Well, I mean, I can put it back the next time to what it was before if I feel strongly that I was right versus the
Right.
Board of Equalization. However, I try to take what the Board of Equalization, because there's 5 people on there, and we have really had some really, in the past, qualified people on there that, are appraisers and so forth in the same field that I'm in. So, when you got 5 people that rule against you, you kind of got to, you can't just say, well, I'm I'm right. But, you know, occasionally there are times I feel strongly enough about something that I've done. Yeah, I can put it back and we
That's,
have to go
that's
through the
what I think
whole
they should understand.
thing
that
again.
It could go back,
That's
so it may
correct.
be something that they have to do at least one more year, or maybe two more, if you feel strongly enough that you keep putting it back at that same rate. So it's not a one-shot deal.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, any questions of council? Buddy, thank you.
I think the
Bob,
one thing
I'm sorry,
I would
Wayne,
just-
go ahead.
in case the folks at home don't realize it, is that the Board of Equalization is composed of all local citizens. In other words, it's our local community that sits on that board and does look at the appeal process. It's not some outside group.
Very well stated. Okay, buddy, thank you for your explanation. It's well timed this year as we just start the budget season, to let everybody know what the citizens at home, what they should be watching. Okay,
Thank you for
thank
having
you
me.
very much. Okay, so now the Library Advisory Board, or the library briefing. So we welcome you this evening, and you know, I know that you have a Friends of the Library section. We were trying to stand one of those up for Buddy, Friends of the Assessor.
Good luck with that.
We have gotten no takers. So, I think those are the 5 that are on the Board of Equalization.
Yeah.
All right, but thank you for coming this evening.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council, and Mr. Wheeler, for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today and to present on the library's accomplishments for fiscal year 16. So first up, just some basic facts and figures. We registered almost 1,500 new patrons, bringing active card holders to over 13,000 in fiscal year 16. We welcomed over 111 visitors during the year and loaned more than 185,000 items. We also offered 376 classes and events, which were attended by over 11,000 people. And our website received more visits than it ever has, almost 75,000 for 1 year. Our citizens logged over 13,000 computer sessions on our public access computers, and our collection now encompasses more than 153,000 items. The Poquoson Public Library ranks first in the state for circulation and visits per capita, first in the Tidewater area, for circulation and visits per capita, averaging 15 checkouts and 9 visits per person. We rank 5th and 4th in the state respectively in those categories. The library received an award for their adult program series on self-sustainment, which included seminars on growing your own food, beekeeping, chicken keeping, and preserving. The library was also awarded a grant to host a series of book discussions for veterans and their families. Our circulation statistics, as you can see, our youth collection has the highest number of checkouts, followed by our adult print book collection, and then media in a variety of formats. Our digital collection checkouts saw an 18% increase over the previous year and now makes up 8% of the library's total circulation. For the convenience of the community, we are open until 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday and until 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. PPL is the only library in Hampton Roads and only one of 5 in the state to serve as a passport acceptance facility. It's the only acceptance facility in Hampton Roads to offer evening and Sunday appointments, and it produced more than $60,000 in revenue for the city last year. We also provide notary services free of charge, notarizing almost 900 documents last year, and our meeting and study rooms are very popular with over 1,700 meetings held last year. And of course, we have our monthly art exhibit space, which books up more than a year in advance. Next month's featured artist will be the popular photographer Brian Lockwood. The library's collection now totals more than 153,000 items, funded almost exclusively by state aid. We added about 8,000 items in the collection last year and discarded about 5,000 to keep the library's collection fresh and current. Our digital collection has grown by more than 14,000 items, and the vast majority of this is provided by the state library at no charge to us. We are in a consortium with about 12 other libraries for our Overdrive software, and that provides us with 17,000 digital items for only $1,000 a year. So the library's budget is broken out here, and as you can see from the tables and charts, we've broken it down by our three main funding sources: local government, state aid, and our grants and donations. The state aid is used almost exclusively for the collection. That's one of the few things that we can use that money for. And you also see our total expenditures here: salaries, collection materials, and operations. In fiscal year 16, we collected more than $100,000 in funds from our operations, with passports accounting for 60% of our revenue, and fines and donations also accounting for a significant portion. The Poquoson Public Library offers a wide array of classes and events for all ages, both educational and cultural. Our summer reading program saw almost 10,000 books read by 573 people. That's an average of 17 books per person. The statistics for 1,000 books before kindergarten for the end of the fiscal year you see here, but that initiative now has over 422 children who've read 110,000 books. We're in our fourth year of that initiative, so for those 54 that have finished in 4 years, they would have had to read an average of 20 books per month. The Library of Virginia is looking to start this initiative statewide in a year or two, so we're actually ahead of the curve for this. In addition to literacy, we're focusing our programming on STEM subjects, and participants are especially excited on engineering and science components. In 2016, we held programs and classes for youth on coding, flight, and engineering, and will continue those into 2017. We also offer a variety of computer classes, tech help, and job help services for the public each week. Our adult programming series was geared towards self-sufficiency, and the beekeeping was so popular that we brought it back and will host a class this coming Saturday. The youth services staff provide an array of outreach initiatives throughout the year, especially in partnerships with the schools for programs such as IPOP, Battle of the Books, and Books for Breakfast. Our adult services staff work with partners to provide workforce development and health information services to the public. In 2016 saw many technology updates, including computer replacement and an upgraded internet server. We also received wireless internet upgrades to capture usage statistics and control bandwidth. The IT department was able to find the resources so that some of the equipment and the software is free to us for 3 years. This allows us, we've never before been able to capture how many people are using the wireless, the Wi-Fi in the library before, and now we have those statistics for the state report, which we had not before. Also free to us via a Love Your Library contest prize was an upgrade to our catalog so that our digital item records from Overdrive could be included. Many libraries still have their digital content completely separate from their physical catalog, so again, we're ahead of the curve. When it's separate, this means you have to search in 2 different places to find a particular book in a variety of formats. We've also expanded our digital music service due to popularity. Patrons are now able to stream 3 hours of music per day and obtain 3 downloads per week through Friegel Music with their library card. And finally, looking ahead to 2017, we have begun some preliminary work with the Library Board and the Friends of the Library for our new strategic plan. The Library of Virginia requires libraries to submit a 5-year strategic plan in order to receive state aid. Our new plan will be due in late summer, and we'll be working through the spring with both the Friends of the Library and the Library Board, in addition to community forums for the public, and I'll be working with the staff as well. Due to popularity, we will be expanding our computer class offerings and including some practice sessions following the formal class. We will be also continuing and adding some STEM initiatives for youth to include more engineering and technology offerings. Library of Virginia has implemented a new software for summer and winter reading programs that includes a gaming element in addition to the traditional literary element where you read your books and get prizes for reading. It will also now include other educational experiences, and we hope to partner with Parks and Rec for that initiative in the summer. We are looking forward to continuing the excellent work that PPL has done and is known for in providing valuable services and resources to the community. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, I certainly don't have any questions, but, you know, Jessica, let me say that it never ceases to amaze me how many things that y'all are running through that library of that size. Okay, and though it's the size is good from my perspective, the numbers that you've put out here just frankly amaze me. And then the city manager was sharing with me that he came into the parking lot for your for the B class, and the place was just packed. So thank you for offering all these things, and thank you for picking up the mantra of our library and continuing the great work that it does. So
Thank you.
Good hats off to you, because I know that you've been with us for a while now. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I actually have
Okay.
just out of my own curiosity, because I've converted over to ebooks, which I love that you guys have those. And you may not have the statistics because it's so new, so I'm not meaning to put you on the spot or anything, but I was just for my own personal curiosity, since I rarely go to the library anymore because I use ebooks so much. Have you seen a decrease in foot traffic since the ebooks? Are more people using that than actually coming to the library now?
We have seen a small decrease over the previous year. It was about a 9% drop, but it's that way across at least Tidewater. We've discussed it in some of our directors' meetings, and there is that drop. The digital use is increasing, but what we found kind of really important to note was that even though the door count per day is dropping, our programming numbers are increasing. So people are coming to the library to use it for a specific purpose, like youth programming. So they can get their books online if they so wish now, but they're still coming in for that youth programming. So we see kind of a targeted usage for coming into the library now.
Okay, other questions?
Thank you.
Jessica. All right, I think that's it for the work session. We have pictures. We have some pictures to do for the new council, and then we'll get going on the regular session in about 30 minutes. If public can join us back at 7 o'clock. Thank you.